suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, dead, and buried. In churches all over the world, every Sunday, the day that we like to call the Lord's Day, the Apostles' Creed is recited, and that line is almost always included. I say almost because there might be a church somewhere who refuses to say this line, but almost everywhere, Pontius Pilate is credited or blamed for Jesus' death. Everywhere. And when we look at that, you might think, every Sunday all over the world, people are saying this about Pontius Pilate. You can imagine him turning over in his grave once a week. Why do we do this? Well, we can say it's because Pontius Pilate was the one who was responsible for Jesus' death. Historically, the person irresponsible that could put Jesus to death, and he did. That's true. Also, it pegs Jesus' death in time-space history. It plays a very important role in what we are calling the creed, what we believe in. We believe that Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection was a historical event in time and space. That's vitally important. It's different from all other religious legends of the world. It has to have happened. It has to have happened in order for there to be any substance in what we Christians say we believe. It's not just a philosophy, a way of life, something that makes this life better. No, Christianity is founded on bedrock history, objective facts. And having said that, still, we say this week in and week out. Should we pity poor Pontius Pilate? Well, let's take a look. At least 3 times he has declared Jesus innocent, according to Luke 23. I find no guilt in him. I find no guilt in him. Nothing worthy of death. I find no guilt in him. 3 times he says this. And he tries to let Jesus go. He tries to let him go free. So you say, okay, yeah, there it is, right there. Pilate didn't really want to kill him. He was subject to the pressures around him. And that's why he gave, I read somewhere even that he washed his hands clean of Jesus' death. All those things are true. But I don't think we should pity him. Because in those very times where he said he is innocent, look at what he leads to. He says this in verse, let me see right here, 14. I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving death has been done by him. I will therefore punish and release him. If you count that as 2, he has declared Jesus innocent in this one chapter 4 different times. And yet look at what he says. Therefore I will punish him and release him. Also in verse 22, I found him no guilt deserving of death. Therefore I will punish him and release him. I will punish and release him. And this is the question I want to ask. Pilate, if Jesus is innocent, if there's no guilt worthy of death, why do you punish him? Why do you strike him? Why do you whip him? Why do you whip my Lord, my Jesus? Why? Because you're a coward. Because you're a leader who perverts justice to serve your own means, to save your own hide. Historically, we are told that Pilate was under all kinds of pressures by the Roman emperor to keep the peace. He wanted to do everything to keep things peaceful. He was afraid of the Jewish leaders. He was afraid of the Roman emperor. He was afraid of the Jewish leaders. He was afraid of tumult. He was afraid of chaos. And he was afraid of these things so much that he was willing to kill an innocent man for it. No, he was willing to kill my Messiah. My Messiah. It should be something personal, and it is my Jesus for this. So no, we shouldn't pity poor Pontius Pilate. And we shouldn't cave in. Learning from this lesson, we should not cave in to pressures around us. We should not cave in to the fear of man. And when we have opportunity, we should proclaim the beauty of Jesus and stand for him, even if it means being killed for it. as so many people have done all throughout history. We should. What's fascinating is that the Apostle Paul, when he speaks to his spiritual son Timothy, he says to him, take a stand, be bold, and give a good testimony, as Jesus did before Pontius Pilate. May we walk in the footsteps, not of Pontius Pilate, not of Timothy or even of Paul, but of Jesus, and give a good testimony for the one who gave the best testimony for you and for me. Blessings.